ReviewTyme is the home for all things theme parks. Stay up to date with our videos by subscribing and turning on notifications. Hong Kong Disneyland. It's one of the most charming Magic Kingdom style parks around the world, featuring a beautiful fantasy land, the fantastic Mystic Manor, a bright neon Tomorrowland, and previously an attraction in which the Mad Hatter would steal a guest from a scare maze and chop off their head with garden shears. As an Australian, Halloween is not part of our culture. It makes for a bit of fun, themed entertainment, but beyond that, in the land down under, it feels like a corporate-driven endeavor designed to make us purchase more stuff. However, I get it. I understand the appeal. Traveling the world, I've had the opportunity to experience Halloween firsthand from cultures where it is ingrained within them, which provides a rare insight into understanding the holiday and how it can be so much fun. Personally, I'm not really into scares and horror, but if there is one company that embraces the spooky spirit of Halloween whilst keeping it lighthearted and whimsical, it's Disney. In the US-based parks, Halloween is presented as Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party, and it's honestly just that, a not-so-scary Halloween party. There is trick-or-treating, Halloween-themed meet and greets, costumes, and unique entertainment, but there's no jump scares or horror to instill fear within guests. However, in 2016 and 2017, Hong Kong Disneyland decided to turn the Disney Halloween dream into a nightmare in the best ways possible. Since 2008, it's the only Disney park in the world to feature seasonal scare mazes, with many of them that constantly make you say, "This is happening in a Disneyland park?" But what made Hong Kong deviate from the wholesome park? Ever since its opening in September of 2005, Hong Kong guests have been asking for more, as the offerings at the Disney park didn't always resonate with their interests. The park's first Halloween event was in 2006, and featured a mini parade with some of the classic characters in different costumes. The influences of American movies and the already established frightening Halloween events at Ocean Park left guests wanting more, and over time Hong Kong Disneyland's entertainment department developed the experience into something more. In 2007, Disney's Halloween became Disney's Haunted Halloween, and it expanded on the previous year's offerings with a new fully fledged parade, and the first scare maze called Main Street Haunted Hotel. This attraction realized unused early conceptual designs from the Haunted Mansion by having a walk-through haunted building on Main Street, USA, a murderous ghost bride, and a vignette of a corpse in a bathtub. Working with feedback from guests, Hong Kong Disneyland continued to develop the dark and gory Halloween offerings, much to the dismay of Imagineering, which wanted to keep the light-hearted approach of the US-based Disney parks. The horror hit its apex in 2016, when Hong Kong Disneyland unveiled one of the most horrifying and dark attractions to ever be within the gates of a Magic Kingdom-style Disney park. This was the Nightmare Experiment, a temporary walk-through attraction through the nightmares of Disney's stories guided by a mysterious Professor J.T. Wu. The attraction utilized the park's 15,000 square foot black box space known as the Pavilion, which was originally used for other Halloween attractions since 2008. Professor Wu is researching the phenomena of nightmares within the Royal Laboratory for the Scientific Study of Phantasmagorian phenomena, and invites guests as test subjects to enter the dreamscape to find what they experience and monitor their progress through the journey. Inside the laboratory, guests enter into the study of Professor Wu, the head of the Nightmare Experiment project, whilst waiting to enter his experimentation chamber. The study introduces the steampunk design of the attraction, a style which is used multiple times throughout the walkthrough. Whilst waiting in the study, loud banging, screams, and yelling can be heard from inside Professor Wu's office, with intense light flashing through the windows. The sounds and sights die down, and you're now invited into the experimentation chamber to finally meet the revealed cyborg Professor Wu, surrounded by complex machinery and two lifeless bodies strapped into the dreamscape machine. Wu explains that he's going to open a portal into the dreamscape, and upon activating his machines, the portal opens, plowing smoke into the room where you're quickly hurried on. The first scene transports guests into a Louisiana bayou, where Dr. Facilier is hosting a voodoo performance. Guests are guided by a young, elegant woman in a Mardi Gras mask as she inspects everybody, and upon reaching the hut removes her mask and wig to reveal that she is completely bald and deformed. With a smile, she invites guests inside Facilier's hut. Facilier welcomes guests to his show, where he offers to everybody to meet his friends on the other side. A black shadow demon of Facilier then enters the room, grabbing Facilier and forcing him behind a curtain, where he is vanished in front of guests. As the demon then approaches the guests, Jack Sparrow appears as an undead skeleton and reveals a hidden door. White fog fills the room and the demon starts to leave. Jack ushers the guests to follow him through the hidden door into a dark cell block within Fort Charles Prison. The cell blocks each have the skeletal remains of tortured pirates, and one featuring a skeleton which appears to have hanged itself. As the skeleton awakes and starts roaring at guests, Jack leads guests out of the prison into another realm. The realm is Sid Phillips' room from Toy Story with his mutant, deformed, and mutilated toys. The room starts to slowly come to life when flashing lights and loud rock music fill the room, and a mutated baby doll with 6 arms, mismatched eyes, and a stitched mouth runs over to guests, begging to be played with. The exit opens to the room as Babyface's head starts spinning slowly with delightful glee, where guests now enter in Alice in Wonderland. In here, the White Rabbit forces guests to follow him where he reveals the Mad Hatter inside an asylum within the Red Queen's castle. The Hatter is banging on the windows of his chamber as he stares and smiles at guests. Inside his cell chamber are headless stuffed toys with red scarves around their neck at a tea party and ominous surgical equipment. The Hatter, with the help from the White Rabbit, then grabs a cast member disguised as a guest from the audience, where he sits him down on a spare chair and placing a red scarf around his neck at the tea party. As the guest is distracted pretending to drink tea, the Mad Hatter starts laughing to himself and yells that he can hear voices whispering to him. The Hatter then reveals that they are whispering how nice the guest would look without a head, where he grabs a pair of garden shears, opens them, and lunges towards the unsuspecting guest. Curtains quickly close over the windows as the room turns an ominous red and ear-piercing alarms start ringing. The guests are then ushered into a hedge maze where gargoyles and other characters lurk. There are live armored cards around many corners and cleverly disguised holes in the wall where cast members dressed as hedges jump out at guests. Once you make it through the maze, you're surrounded by white fog where you once again enter a chamber in the Royal Laboratory. Guests can see a screen of all the horrors that Professor Wu has observed, but not before long Professor Wu's assistant rushes into the chamber and forces guests out through the portal, saying that the machine has caught fire and is overheating. Guests file out of the portal while they can see Professor Wu tending to his broken machine. Glass is shattered and the 2 lifeless heads are now smoking outside of their chambers. Wu thanks the guests for their help before quickly ushering the guests out, ending the experience. The next year, Hong Kong expanded on this story, with a new experience called Maze of Madness, a direct sequel to the Nightmare Experiment. But that's a story for another Halloween. If you didn't believe me before, I'm sure you can now understand why many guests would be saying, "This is happening in a Disneyland park?" It seems like something you'd expect to find elsewhere, especially not designed and endorsed by Disney for guests to enjoy alongside Winnie the Pooh and the Jungle Cruise. You'd think that for a park that strongly focuses on a family-friendly atmosphere, these sort of attractions wouldn't be that popular. But when I visited in 2016 and had the opportunity to experience the Nightmare Experiment, even when some lines in the park for attractions such as Space Mountain and Mystic Manor were only 10 minutes, the Nightmare Experiment was almost an hour. Even though Walt Disney and many Imagineers would strongly disapprove of such an attraction, it's a look into how the Disney experience just can't be replicated and be expected to resonate with many guests. Sometimes you need to break boundaries, and sometimes those breakages create great history. For ReviewTyme, I'm Dominic. Thanks for watching.